I want to know, Wiggy, what you thought about that.
With the Tommy Curran situation, listen, I almost feel like that, and I kind of said this before. I don't know if Bill is kind of lost the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I wonder if there's a good portion of it, at least from the offensive side of the football, where they're questioning what he's doing. So I think that, to me, is the biggest thing, and I don't know. I don't think there's any way to get that back.
And it's so hard for me because I do feel like a hypocrite for saying it's Bill Belichick, so you got to stick with him no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But that has to wear off at some point. And I don't know when that point is. Is it 5 years post Brady? Is it 10 years post Brady? He's 70 years old.
But don't you think it's like 3 years of not making? And I know Kraft said he wants them to win a playoff game,
right.
But isn't it like 3 years of not making the playoffs?
So you're saying because they've made the playoffs, they're good to go. There's no big panic button when it comes to Robert Kraft in his mind.
No, because if you look at last year, and I know Greg's always hyping it up, and I'll agree with him to a certain extent. You made the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Now you didn't win a game, but you made it there. This year it doesn't look like this year's a down year. What happens next year? They have to have another down year and another down year, and then I think you go 3 years of not making the playoffs. Then Robert goes, "Oh, wait a second here, something's got to give." I don't know if you could do that after 1 year that it doesn't look like it's going to be a good and not that it's not a good season in the sense of you're not competitive. You're still in the mix, but a season of where you didn't make the playoffs from a year removed of making the playoffs. How do you pull a plug on a guy like that who's won you 6 Super Bowls?
But if you look at last season and how they ended the season, and then you go into this season and you lose the last 3 that we have ahead of us, so then you lose the last 4, including the Raiders game. That is got to leave a bad taste in Robert Kraft's mouth.
It does, but unless Bill doesn't change the offensive play caller, Matt Patricia, if he's like, the hell with it, I'm keeping it the same next year, and then next year is the same result, and they don't make the playoffs, then I think that conversation is really on the table, because now it's like, well, everybody knows what the issue was, and you did nothing to fix that.
What's the spread right now for that game, Scheim, when it comes to Pats Cincinnati?
It is Cincinnati by 3.5.
3.5, and that's because the Pats are playing at home?
Correct. So in Cincinnati, theoretically, this game would be somewhere more around 8.5, 9.
But the home field advantage doesn't really add up for me either when it comes to this Patriots team. Like, I actually think that they're going to get destroyed by Cincinnati.
But I think they get the home field, and I think defensively they tend to get an edge because of their defense has been solid.
But
this
a
year.
mobile quarterback, would you consider Joe Burrow? You wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
No,
consider.
but he's
got
going to
weapons
light this secondary up. Like, it's you talk about struggling to cover number 1 receivers outside of Devontae Adams. They did a great job against Devontae Adams last week. Good job. Was it Marcus Jones?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent job by him. However, you now not get just Jamar Chase. You also get T. Higgins.
Right.
And it's Joe Burrow throwing the football, not Derek Carr. Like, this is a whole different animal. This is as bad of a matchup for the Patriots as it can be. Like, there is no, outside of maybe Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, there's no better passing offense in football right now than the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Patriots, they're going to have to get a ridiculous amount of pressure from Josh Uche, Matt Judon, Dietrich Wise to really have any kind of shot in this game.
And I think they, maybe some of the people in Vegas who are putting the number together, look at it like, well, they did a good job against Buffalo where they only allowed 24 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're at home, so they should be able to do, and then they did a good job against Devontae Adams. They should be able to, not that they're going to shut down Joe Burrow in that offense, but if they hold that offense to 24 points, isn't that considered a
success?
Yes. And so maybe that's why the number is where it is. I thought the number would be higher. I think if it's 3.5, you jump on that, because I thought the number, even though it being at home, that they would be like a 6-point dog, or even what?
It's the Belichick factor. It's the respect they give to Bill Belichick and his ability to coach on the defense. But to Cincinnati's credit, they've also, in the second half of football games, been the best or second best team in football this season. So The Patriots are going to have to get points early if they're going to want to have any success in this game.
What happens if Mac goes out there and throws three interceptions in the first half? Do you think Zappe comes back in?
No, then everybody leaves the place at that point because the game's probably
And
over.
it's Christmas Eve, and everybody wants to
Yeah,
go
it's
home.
probably 28-0 at that point.
All right, well, we want to hear from you, 617-779-7937. Let's go to Julie in Worcester. Julie, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. I was just calling in just to say, why did the offense look so good when Bailey Zappi was in?
You know,
Yeah, good point, Julie.
we've asked this question often, right? And everybody will say, like, well, Greg's defense and, you know, a lot of people's defense were, well, Detroit stunk and Cleveland stunk.
And Detroit doesn't stink, and obviously they were not, Matt Patricia and the offense weren't clicking at the right time, and that's why Bailey was succeeding.
Right. Well, then that's what they'll say.
Right.
And I just feel like maybe Zappi bought in more to what Patricia wanted, and there was no issues with that. And so I think that was part of it. You know, if you get a person who buy in who's a robot and it says, who's basically yes, man. Yes, coach, whatever it is, coach. Yes, coach. I like that play call. Yes, 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 yes. And I think it was a little bit easier for them to maybe be, what's the word?
Efficient?
No, you know that word like symbiotico. Is that what?
Simpatico?
Simpatico.
Yeah,
right?
but I think it's also efficient because if you are complaining on the sideline, if you're shooing somebody
Right.
off, if you're yelling at them, that's wasting precious moments that you have to figure out what you need to do moving forward. If you're Bailey Zappi and you're just saying, yep, okay, got it, and then you're being able to relay that with clarity, then it makes it much easier for everybody to click and be on the same page.
And I think the plan with Zappi was much more fine-tuned. Like they knew, okay, we have a 4th-round rookie quarterback. We need to run the football effectively, and then we're going to take our shots sporadically with the
Right.
quarterback, and he's just going to need to make a few passes. We don't need to overload him. Whereas with Mac Jones, Mac wants to do something very different than that. He clearly has. I mean, he said it on the field. Like, enough of the short game. We need to attack. Like, we need to throw the football. He wants to push the ball downfield. Which, by the way, in that last game they tried to do, and he failed miserably. However, like to the one thing going towards Mac is the running game was really good against Cleveland and Detroit because those two defenses stink. The running game after that for like 6 weeks was one of the worst in football until last week when you played the Raiders. You had everything going in your direction, and Mac just crapped the bed.
If there was 15 passing attempts in that game, I mean, with Zappi, not an issue. Zappi's not going to say anything. If there's 15 passing attempts, I think Mac has kind of taken on the role where I can do more, and we have to do more with me at quarterback. So there, I think that's part of Mac's frustration is he feels like he can do more. With Zappi doesn't have that ego of the sense of like, oh, I know what I could do at this level. So he's just basically, he's happy to be there.
Exactly. Yeah, he's happy. He's like me here at the station. Like Greg can go into Mike Thomas's office and maybe demand something, but I can't even I can't sit outside the office and say anything. It's Mac had the swag from last year,
right?
And Bailey's a rookie, and so he's not going to come in there and try to run things and
then play Zappi. Play Zappi because if you need to win out to get into the playoffs, and that's what Robert Kraft expects out of the team, to make the playoffs and to win a playoff game. And if the relationship is too far gone between Bill and Mac and Patricia and Mac, then go with Zappi.
But they might feel like Mac is the better option. Zappi is the virgin at the orgy. He's just he's happy to be there. And if somebody happens to grab him by the hand and say, "Come on in here," he's cool. If not, he got no issues with just standing there and just
sitting on the sideline with his clipboard.
Sitting on the sideline with his clipboard watching. They say, "Hey, get in here for you got about 30 seconds. Get in and get out." He's going to do exactly what he's going to do exactly what he's been told to do. But I don't know if they feel like they're a better team or an offense if the offense is better with Zappi in the sense of we can do more with him. Maybe they feel like they could do more with Mac.
All right, let's hear from Andy in South Hadley. Andy, happy Wednesday.
Yes, good morning. I have a question. Maybe you can find the timeline on this, but MassageGate, that was the last Super Bowl we were in, right? And then Kraft got fined and everything during the next season. Brady went 8-0, and then he lost out the season. Last touchdown pass was to the other team before he left.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Roger Goodell told Kraft that, listen, you're to keep your team. You don't win for the next 5 years. You don't go in the AFC playoffs. You don't go into the Super Bowl if you want to keep your team.
Wow.
So we're running, and this is all. That's why, we brought in these coaches that he can trust. They brought in Matt Patricia, brought in Aaron Judge, guys that will buy into that and know that, all right, you can't make this public, but they're in on it.
Andy,
so
that is a wild.
They don't bring in veterans. They don't bring any high price guys.
Andy,
they let it all go to hell.
Andy, that is a wild conspiracy.
Yeah, what about the Commanders? Then?
I am big on conspiracy theories, but that one is crazy. There was one on social media yesterday that Fitzy picked up on that had me kind of shaking my head a little bit because NFL officiating on Twitter seems to follow all NFL teams but the Patriots.
Okay.
So dumb.
I love a good conspiracy, though. I mean, who doesn't love a good conspiracy?
No, and that one
was wild. He went way down. That's like way down on there, like the Doc Webb conspiracy.
Yeah, that's like Jackson trying to find out how to get those USPS keys. Here's Andy in Hudson.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm wondering what type of drugs that guy's on. Jesus. All right. I'm going to bring some facts down here. I disagree with him. Robert Kraft just spent, $250 million a few years ago? Wiggy was saying earlier, what if we bring some talent in around Mac? That might have been you, Courtney. And they did spend some money. I don't think they spent it so wisely. And Wiggy, you talked about it, I think yesterday, how it's kind of different in the league now with players. They're not afraid to speak out. Mm-hmm. And then today you were talking about Bill has his own little box and he keeps everybody in there. And I think when you played, and even the players that Bill brought in here, it was still you could have that singular control, and players who might have been a problem on other teams would get in line for a chance to play in a solid system. And I did talk earlier in the week about maybe the games passed them by. I think that system of having that one guy in control and keeping all the guys, within the box, I don't think it works anymore. Players are different now and then. You need, offensive guys that just hone in on their offensive players. And I don't know if Bill's willing to extend that. So I'll listen to you guys' thoughts on those.
Well, it's an easy fix. I mean, we can go back and forth all day long on what's going on. It's a very simple fix. And the only reason why we are here where we are right now discussing this or having players feel a certain way or what's going on or how's the relationship is because Bill chose to make Matt Patricia his play caller. Mm-hmm. And Matt once, and I had said it from Jump Street, Tyler. We all scratching our heads like, what? Wait a second. This guy's been a defensive guy his whole career. And you're now going to make him the play caller? It's one thing to say, okay, Joe Judge is the quarterback coach. All right, you know what? Say what you want. I don't think it's really a huge deal because he's just there. He's probably helping Mac in practice. They're working together, watching film, that kind of thing. There's no real like Joe Judge doesn't have any real say when it comes to what they're doing on the field on Sundays during the game. People scratch their heads when he made Matty P the play caller, and that's why we are where we are. An easy fix is this. You just hire somebody, even if it is from within, that has been an offensive guy. Then people are going to now go, oh, okay, let's see what happens. And now we're judging the new guy either based on how he looks as a play caller, maybe the situation he's putting Mac in, maybe how Mac is handling some of the offense. Because now we're not sitting there going, what a dumb move by Bill to hire a guy who has no experience.
Is there any conversation between Mac and Bill if Bill is looking for a new guy to run the offense and say, Mac, what do you think about this? None.
No.
Only if he intends on having Mac here
for a long time.
That's the only way you go to him. Otherwise,
but
who cares
then,
what Mac thinks?
Even
you
then,
bring in whoever you think
even then,
would be better.
Do you think that Bill had conversations with Brady about like, hey, listen, I think I'm going to Josh McDaniels, or from Josh McDaniels, hey, you know what, I think I'm going to Billy O'Brien. What do you think?
I bet they had more conversations than we think.
No.
I don't think it was like an Aaron Rodgers situation where he wanted to be in on every single decision made with the Packers, and that's why he hated the front office. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bill
No, Bill, I don't even think Bill, even when Josh came back the second time, was like, hey, Tom, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about bringing Josh back. What's your thoughts on that?
All right, here's Steve and Sterling. Steve, good morning.
Hi, Coco. What's up?
Nothing much. How's your Wednesday?
Oh, it's going great. Just driving around with the kiddos, and I wanted to call in because they're under the weather, and they wanted to say hi to you guys.
Oh,
Say
that's
hi, girls.
Hi.
What up?
Hi. Happy holidays.
They're a little shy, but we just wanted to call and say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Wiggy, you're the man.
Tell him be good or Santa won't bring him any gifts. Santa's always watching.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah, later.
Thanks, Steve. And happy holidays to everybody listening.